Hey YouTube, it's Marida and welcome to another edition of the Nurse Lounge. And in this edition, we're going to continue my series on my narcissistic marriage, my road to recovery. And today we're going to talk about the children. What is it that the narcissist feels about his own children? If you want to see what I'm talking about, stay tuned. All right, welcome back. My name is Dr. Marida P. I am a registered nurse. However, in this series of videos, we are not talking about nursing. We are talking about my relationship with the narc that I am legally married to and the different aspects of what I have dealt with when it comes to being married to a narcissist. This is my disclaimer. I am not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a life coach, or a medical doctor. I am simply someone who is going through have been through a 17-year relationship. 12 of those years have been marriage. 5 previous to that were just together and dating, which we have been together, again, like I said, almost 17 years. And it's been a narcissistic relationship the entire time, but it's until recent years that I've discovered this. And I want to basically have a platform in which I can discuss my dealings with the narc. And up until probably about 3 or 4 years ago, I knew he had a problem, but I could not put my finger on what it really was. But the more I start watching videos on narcissism and specifically covert narcissism and how narcissists really act and function, then I began to realize exactly who I was dealing with. Now, in terms of a diagnosis, my husband has not been diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder, or NPD, it's also known as. However, he does mark off on many of those traits that people who do have NPD actually exhibit. To be diagnosed with NPD, you have to have a formal diagnosis by a physician, therapist, things like that. And again, he has not been diagnosed, but again, based off of my being able to look at the criteria, he checks off on all of them. So also, just so you know, we all have narcissistic traits. So I'm not using this term narcissist as if it's loosely thrown around in today's society. Most people think of narcissist, like, well, he's a narcissist or she's a narcissist, as if, yes, it's a bad term or a bad personality trait, but they toss it around when they really don't care for someone because maybe they feel a certain way about someone. This has nothing to do about how I feel about this person. This is truly who this person is. So I really want to kind of put dispel a notion or a myth that everyone is a narcissist, or we use that term so loosely. It's not really like that. When people say they are with a narcissist, and if they truly know what that term means, they are in danger, okay? They are in danger for mental, physical, emotional, psychological, financial, and potentially even sexually abuse, okay? So it is very serious when we talk about narcissism and people who are in relationships, specifically when you have a relationship with a man or a woman who is a narcissist, even a family member. When it comes to a coworker or a boss, you can really get out of that situation by removing yourself from the job. But it's not so easy to remove yourself from a family or from a significant other, especially if you have soul ties to that significant other. So in this video, we're going to talk about specifically his regard for our children. Now, what I will say is this, that when we first got together, he was very good when it came to my girls. So I have 2 girls from a previous relationship, and my girls are now 22 and 19 years old. And he was instrumental in caring for those girls. And, you know, my youngest daughter, who's 19, was 2 at the time that we got together. And being that she was 2, he was potty training. He helped with all of that. He potty trained. He did her hair. He fixed her breakfast, or both girls really, but the oldest girl was already potty trained. She was in kindergarten, I think, at the time, or in pre-K at the time. So he was instrumental in raising and taking care of my girls. And again, which is why we dated for 5 years. And then we ended up getting married and having 2 of our own children. So when we had our own children, we had 2 boys. And currently the boys' ages are 11 and 8. And I would have to say, when it comes to his parenting was way off. If I was to gauge what type of father he was going to be based on how he treated my girls, I knew I had hands down a great support person, a great husband. But truth be told, it is farthest from the truth. I never understood as to why he treated my girls better than he treats his own biological boys, even currently today. Now, when it comes to narcissists and them having what's called supply is basically something or someone that basically fulfills a type of need. Narcissists have a need to have their egos rubbed. They have to have the attention, and they have to have what we call fuel or supply. So just like a car needs fuel in order to get you from point A to point B, it gives it the energy, if you will, to run. What supply does give the narcissist that same fuel, if you will, to stroke their ego. So anything they can do to stroke their ego, even having children, they will do so. Now, as most of you know, when it comes to having small children, they see their parents most of the time as the apples of their eye. Their parents could do no wrong. So of course, just like even a dog would do when he or she runs up to you and wags its tail and is happy to see you, children, innately do the same thing if they don't feel threatened or anything like that. So as long as my kids were giving him attention, and he wanted the attention, he was definitely all involved with the kids. However, as time has gone on, my oldest son has begun to realize something is not quite right with his father. And of course, they're butting heads some because of the fact, of course, he's 11 years old. And if you think about childhood development, 11-year-old boys or girls tend to rebel, tend to talk back, tend to misbehave, tend to get into things. And I'm up here trying to explain to the narc that this is typical children behavior, and how you are handling it is very inappropriate. How the narc is handling it, not how the child is handling. The child is acting accordingly to how an 11-year-old child acts. Yes, we do have to discipline our children and guide them in the right direction. However, when the narc acts just as bad as the 11-year-old, we have a problem there. So we've always had issues with discipline. We've always had issues on his perspective, because he always treated the kids like they were brothers instead of father-son relationships. And unfortunately, when that happens, you don't have clear boundaries. And when you don't have clear boundaries, kids think you're playing until you're serious. And then when you get serious, then they're like, okay, well, who are you trying to be? Because you've been letting us do what we want to do any other time. But now that you're tired of us, now you want to have some discipline. And that's not what the kids are saying, but that's how they're acting. Like, okay, this is fine any other time. This is a type of narc. This narc is a type of person where he, again, wants to be their brother. He is allowing them to play video games before they do homework. He allows them to play and do anything before they clean their rooms. He's the one who allows them to do anything that I wouldn't want them to do before business is taken care of. So schoolwork wouldn't even be done yet. It'd be the next morning. It's time to catch the bus. And my son is telling me he has not had his homework done, which that was my husband's thing to do. He would come home and supposed to help him with the homework because I would be, of course, working. So they have no regard for their children. They typically do not even per se what you call love their children. Their children are typically just a source of fuel or supply. You'll have what's called the golden child and then the black sheep. Because I have 2 boys, I do have one of each. My oldest son, because he does not listen to his father, he is considered the black sheep. They always get into it. He's always wrong. He's telling him that he is not smart. He is telling them that it's not cool to be smart. He is always trying to minimize what my son's accomplishments are. Now, the youngest one is the golden child, meaning he can't do any wrong. And of course, the youngest one sees his daddy as the best person ever. And no matter what he does, because 8-year-olds just see it that way, he's giving him all the fuel and supply that he needs to kind of stroke that ego. So when he's stroking that ego, that kind of gives him fuel, which then makes my son feel even better because he's like, oh, he's playing with me, he's talking to me, he's, roughhousing with me or whatever. They kind of feed each other, not knowing for my son that it's not genuine. It's just something he's pulling to get from my son. So you have your golden child and you have your black sheep. So some of you may be able to relate to that because maybe in your family, if you've dealt with a narcissistic parent, you would know whether you were the black sheep of the family or were you the golden child who could do no wrong and things like that. So also when it comes to their children, he is one, as a parent, naturally we always want to make sure our children have what they need. Okay, so yes, we want them to have PlayStation games and toys and bikes and do different kinds of activities, but at the same time we also want them to have an understanding of what responsibility is and that it does cost money in order to take care of them. They have to eat, they have to have shelter, they have to have clothing, they have to go to the doctor, they have to have water to bathe with, and they have to have electricity, amongst a whole other list of things. And if you want your children to be well-rounded, you would definitely put them into extracurricular activities or things of that nature. Well, my husband has no desire or interest in taking care of any of that. He left actually back in, I want to say April, and this is July, and he left actually in March, and he would hover. But then he is finally gone probably about April. He actually left in April. And the last time he's ever even contributed any money to the children's well-being is in May. He has not contributed whatsoever until their well-being at all. So this is now July. So we're talking about 2 months, roughly 2 months later, he is still not contributing financially in any way to help me with those boys. And are you thinking that the boys don't need shelter? Do you not think they don't need anything to eat? So has he contacted me about this? No. What he has contacted me about is visiting with the boys. And I'm asking him steadily, when are you going to help provide for the boys? And of course, he dodges that question like the plague, like the coronavirus. He is dodging it. He never ever has even voiced a concern or a plan to help financially with the kids. Now, as a parent, do you not think, as any kind of parent, do you not think it's your responsibility to take care of your children financially? Well, he doesn't. He wants to take his money and blow it on his new supply, which is a new girlfriend he has. And he's posted it on Facebook that he is with someone or in a relationship. And honestly, that's fine with me because, he's openly committing adultery at this point because legally we're still married. But that's another topic. My point is this. He is spending the money that he is making because he's living with a relative. Okay, so he doesn't even have his own place. Or if he's not living with a relative, he's staying with her. Yet again, he is not taking care of himself. But yet he's working full time, but yet he provides nothing for his kids. What person do you know? Now, mind you, there's plenty of people who are not narcissists who are irresponsible parents who do not care anything for their kids. But narcissists, this is a given with them. Okay, so I don't want you to think that people who don't care for their kids are narcissists. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying, however, that is one of the traits of a narcissist, that they don't care for their children. And here's a prime example. Just 2 days ago, he decides he wants to come over unannounced. And I don't tolerate that. You walked out on your family. You don't show up at my house unannounced to see anything or anybody, especially at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. So therefore, I did not allow him to come into the house, and he's very upset because I want to see my boys. Well, you haven't asked one question about what they're eating. You haven't asked, do they need anything? You haven't asked anything about anything. You will not disrupt my boys because you want to see them because you are lacking supply. He is lacking the attention that he needs, okay? And so since he's lacking the attention that he needs, he wants to come over and get that attention from the boys because he only calls about once every other week to check on them. And it's usually to see them, but it's never to offer any type of financial help or assistance. So I wish I could insert text here, but because of the fact that I don't want to exploit the entire situation, I won't insert text, but I will kind of paraphrase what was said. So basically, I say in the text, what are you planning to do financially to help take care of your children? And he was like, why is this always about money with you? And I said, do you not think you don't have a responsibility to care for your children financially in any kind of way? And of course, he dodges that question. He says, I want to see my boys. They do that. They kind of dodge everything that you say. They don't want to answer things direct unless it has something to do with what they need or what they want. So be mindful that they do things like that. Also, he shows me a picture of 2 video game gift cards. And well, I was trying to give them these gift cards that they've been wanting. Of course, if you notice, he gives they're $25 each. There's 2 boys, so it's a total of $50. I could have taken that $50 and went and bought groceries with it. So you see, his intent is really to appease the children, but not take care of them. Children would never understand that. Children at 8 years old don't understand that, in general, that their father or mother is supposed to financially take care of them. But they do see gifts as a wonderful thing. They do see going to McDonald's as a wonderful thing. So for them, they think he is the best parent ever. But as adults, we realize financially they have to be cared for. And you know, 1 McDonald's meal is not going to cover them for an entire even day. So you're spending all this money on your new supply, your new woman, and whatever else that you want to buy, but you don't want to take care of your children financially at all. And so then he wants to proceed to throw me or to do a smear campaign in which he's basically telling other people what type of, oh, she won't let me see my kids because of money. I said, keep on telling people that because it's making you look even worse. Yes, I won't. He can come visit. He can come see the kids in terms we can meet at the park. We're going to do this on my terms. You're not going to come in here as a 1/3 parent, if you want to call it that, and decide that you want to see these children, you know, play with them for a little while and put them back on the shelf for me to take care of financially. That's not how this works. And that's what he wants to do. So in general, when it comes to those type of parents, they do not care for their children in the terms of the love that we have for our children, the care we have for our children, our ability to empathize with our children. It is solely about me, me, me. And that is the life of a narcissist. They are selfish all the time. It's not about the kids. It's about what they need. It's about how he is fulfilled in them. And unfortunately, they're too young to understand that. I have had some brief talks with the kids. I don't really go into detail because, again, I don't want whatever's going on with this relationship is speaking for itself. Eventually, as they get older, they will begin to see that, okay, if he wanted to take care of them, he could take care of them. But he chooses not to. And I did not create these children by myself. So therefore, you're not going to be able to have the luxury of taking them out to play, so to speak, and not help any other kind of way. You're just not going to do that. Now, I have agreed to, on a agreed upon time, date, and place, we can meet at the park, but he cannot come to the house ever again. And again, he thinks he has this grandiose ability to do whatever he wants to do, whenever he wants to do it. So he wants to show up at my house unannounced to see his kids. I had to get my locks changed, and he decided, because he refused to give me my key back, the old key back, he decided, and he didn't know my locks were changed, he decided just to take the key and try to walk right on in the house because he thought, he didn't realize my locks were changed. And this is kind of how they think. Everything is really about them and what they want to do and not what's best for the family. Again, he abandoned us. He walked out on us. Yes, we were planning on getting a divorce anyway. So I have no issue with him leaving to get his own place or do what he's doing. And honestly, when it comes to his adulterous behavior, you know what? That's great because she is helping me out by getting him out my way, off my nerves. So, you know, I wish them the best, even though she's gonna realize he is a know-nothing, such and such kind of person. But she'll realize that soon enough. But in between times, she is giving him all the supply that he needs, unless he needs it from the kids, which he won't get. He won't get none from me in terms of my time or attention, which he wants. He wants supply from wherever he can get it from. So you best believe he'll be back in another week trying to get my time and attention, trying to act like I forgot that he still hasn't paid anything in 2 months. And he won't help with the kids, but yet he wants to try to appease me. But yet he wants to curse me out on text. So I have all this stuff that's going to go against him, but that's neither here nor there. I wanted to focus on the children in this video and just simply explain to you that when it comes to children, they have their favorites, but at the same time, they really don't care about any of them. Because if they cared about their children, they would naturally do what's right to take care of their children. And he will not do that. He could care less about what they need. He cares about what they want because, of course, that fuels his relationship with them. But in terms of what they need, he's not even interested in any of that. So anyway, thank you for watching this video in its entirety. Thank you for watching this series on narcissism, My Road to Recovery. my narcissistic marriage, my road to recovery. This has been something that's really helping me in terms of my healing. And I feel that from the people that I have spoke to via either IG or here, that this has been a blessing to some of you in the sense that you are beginning to realize you're kind of in the same relationship or type of relationship with someone, and you're really wanting to get out of that relationship, but you're trying to find a way out. And again, it takes time. You have to do what's good for you. I'm in no way advocating, well, I am advocating for you to get out of the relationship if possible, but do it in a safe way and have an exit strategy when you do so. But I'm not saying you need to get out because I'm getting out. I'm going to do what's best for me, and you have to do what's best for you. But again, if I could be of any hope or any light or any inspiration to you when it comes to this particular topic, that you are being abused in this situation. If you are dealing with a narcissist, you are being abused. He or she may not be punching you, hitting you, you may not have bruises, but the mental, emotional anguish that you are dealing with, the psychological trauma that you're dealing with, is a form of domestic violence. So I just want you to know that. Definitely follow me on IG. I will have my handle up here. There's an email in the description box below if you want to email me and talk about some of these things. I've actually had someone reach out and simply say, hey, she wants to talk about these things. I have no problem doing one-on-ones with you all in terms of if you want to talk about your personal situation. We can do this via Zoom if you would like. So definitely reach out to me. My email is in the box below, and we can do a one-to-one just to simply compare notes and talk. Again, I'm not a therapist or anything like that, so I'm not here to provide therapy. I'm not here to coach you out of a situation per se, but I am here to be a lending ear. I'm here to compare notes. I'm here to say, yes, this is how they are. This is what they do. And this is what I have done in that situation, but you will have to do what's good for you. All right. Thank you so much for watching this video. And until the next time, you all take care. Bye-bye.